The Gridiron is sponsored by Anna Marie's. If it ain't Anna Marie's, it ain't breakfast.
Welcome to this week's edition of The Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brent, with head coach Chad Brubaker. In an ugly weather night and an ugly score night, Springford loses the crossover game to Pottsgrove 13-14. Coach, first off, obviously, tough loss to take, tough night, all that sort of thing here. I guess we'll start easy here. In all of your years of coaching here at Springford ever, was that the worst weather conditions you've ever been a part of for a high school football game?
Yeah, it probably was. I'm trying to think of one that was worse, but I can't. No,
Yeah.
it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, you just saw scores around the region, and they were just things you hadn't seen, whether it was the score of the OJ Phoenixville game or just the amount of turnovers you saw all over District 1. It was obviously adverse weather conditions, but once again, everybody's playing in the same conditions too.
Yeah, and there was no possibility to push it back. There were logistical issues. There were referee availability issues. Certainly, in hindsight, we would have liked to do that. It was pretty bad.
All right, so let's go back to the game, and obviously, I think let's get to the fourth quarter because that's where things kind of unraveled a little bit for you guys. So you score a second touchdown in the fourth quarter. You go up 13-0. They get the ball back, and you get a turnover. You cause a turnover, and now there's less than, let's call it, 8 minutes, and you got the ball in their territory. And essentially, from that point in the game, you essentially go net 0 yards for the rest of the game and give up 14. So, I guess talk us through those last couple possessions. What are you trying to do offensively? What are you trying to do defensively? Because I saw after the game of you saying the quote that game's on you. And it was about an inability or a lack of confidence to throw the ball. So I guess what we're trying to explain, what are you trying to say with that?
Well, I would go even before that. It was one of those nights where, so a lot went wrong from the jump, including the fact, and I didn't even tell the kids here, so this is breaking news, but we had camouflage jerseys ready to wear with the Army Reserve. It was supposed to be a surprise when they came in the locker room. The girls started laying them out, and they forgot a box, so we only had 40 jerseys.
So there wasn't quite enough to get it done. Okay.
So things unraveled from there. We, even in the first half, didn't play very well. Put the ball on the carpet a lot of times, missed a field goal, had a punt return or a punt block for a safety, touchdown or safety. I don't even know who got it. And that was ruled an inverted whistle. The field goal, they ran into the kicker and didn't get the call. So there were a lot of things. We picked up a fumble in the first half with no one around us and fell. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of things that were just kind of built on each other. And I felt like why I said that I didn't have a lot to say.
Sure.
After the game, but we just kind of felt like early we they were going to pack the box. That's what they do, and they play man coverage, and there's just things that we dropped the touchdown pass. There's things that we could have done earlier to try to get a bigger lead, and then when you don't get that, you kind of want to run the clock and get out of there, and we weren't able to do that. So when it was 13-0 and we were just trying, again, you said the time.
Right, you get the ball in their territory. It's less than
2 or
8
3
minutes, whatever it is in the clock. Like that's where you're like, all right, let's score here. Let's get a score. Let's get out of Dodge.
We get 2 or 3 first downs.
Yep.
The game's over, and we weren't able to do that for a number of reasons. There were a couple fumbles. There were a lot of missed blocks. But I always have felt like no matter what, you need to be balanced. There are certain passing plays that would have been a little bit safer that we could have run. Again, it's hindsight. and that's on me. So we talked about earlier, like trust and those things in earlier episodes. You know, if we knew what was going to happen, certainly we would have done things differently. And but we kind of felt like we want to get a couple first downs and get out of there, and we just weren't able to do it. And again, you know, ultimately, you know, and then you turn around, if you throw and you're not able to, then it really stops the clock with and those 8 minutes there at the end. Those are tough decisions to make, and I should have, you know, I would do a lot of things differently on Friday night than we did. But I don't want to take anything away from, you know, Pottsgrove. They played tough, and although they made some miscues early, they kind of flipped that, and they were able to, you know, make some timely throws. And, you know, there's, you know, all of the coaching staff, I think, was, you know, questioning everything that we did. We do that anyway. If we win by, you know, 25, we'll still do that. But it was a tough pill to swallow. But again, I don't want to take anything away from what Pottsgrove did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think a big stage here is we head into the playoffs. First off, congratulations. Still I think when we went back and we lost our last game, you thought one more loss would have kind of ended your chances, but for whatever reason, enough losses, you still found your way into the district play.
Yeah.
Huge momentum for Pottsgrove because they go from being essentially out of the 4A playoffs all the way to the 2 seed, and PJP loses their crossover game, and they're out. And like you said, this is where I'm sure people were like, PJP just beat them 42 to whatever the week before too. So like, it just shows how a timely win or a timely loss can really tell a lot about a season too.
Yeah, and you know, it's certainly not a perfect system. You know, and it depends on how many teams there are and how many make it and that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, we would have liked to have some momentum going into the playoffs, especially on the ground. But here we are, and we got to, you know, find a way to, you know, pull our boots back on and do what we need to do.
All right, so just let's talk here a little bit about football here in general. So is there part of you this week that wants to go into practice and say, we're going to practice situational football? Like here we are, we're playing Downingtown East, we're up 7 with, let's say, 4 minutes to play or whatever here. What are we really trying to do here? Like, once again, you're going to try and take something that maybe wasn't a positive for you on a Friday night and now kind of illustrate how we want to execute things in the game situation.
Well, we do that. We do that every week. You know, we do those types of things every week. But, yeah, you have to close out games. And, you know, at the end of games, teams are going to bring a lot of guys into the box, and you still have to be able to try to grind it out and run the clock. So, you know, it's a lesson. It's a lesson for everybody.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll hopefully be able to learn from it and go forward.
Yeah, like I said before show, I'll make sure we'll still be friends after this show, guys. Just, you know, like sometimes we got to ask some hard-hitting questions.
A little less animated today.
Yeah, a little less animated, so you got to answer some things. All right, so once again, Freed came back for you. You went back to your 50-50. I'm sure we're going to see some more of it in the district playoffs here too. There's no –
yeah.
You're continuing with what you're doing.
Well, what we have said all along.
Hot hand, ride.
Correct. So, you know, depending on how, you know, again, how the game goes, you know, we'll make decisions, you know, based on that.
All right. Well, we're going to show some highlights. There's going to be some tough viewing, possibly with the rain in the camera a little bit here.
Yeah, no, it won't be a perfect picture.
All right. Let's check out the offensive highlights from Springford Pottsgrove.
Offensive highlights are sponsored by What's Hot? Cards and collectibles.
This doesn't look awful right now weather-wise.
No, they kept wiping it off.
Okay, all right. It's bad.
We don't have an end zone copy of anything because
the wind.
Yeah.
This is your big run here.
Yeah. So if you see here, they still had an extra guy in the box, but Harry made the guy miss. And like I said, they were playing a ton of guys in the box, bringing the safety down. He makes another guy miss there. You know, we got inside the
got all the way
30.
down to 30 there, yeah.
You can see here, this was earlier in the game. We did throw right here, tried to take a shot, and then it was a nice play. Zach Zollers came out of his route and, cut it off, came back for it. They did a nice job of covering. This is a nice run. Will Fish got a few more carries. He did a nice job on Friday night. And right there you can see we got a good kick-out block from J. Seth Owens, got down inside the 10.
It looked like you utilized kind of more of that formation too Friday night for yourself too, right?
Yeah, we did. We went a lot more two-backs than we normally do. We ran some outside zone here. Ran it a couple times well and then a couple times not very well. This was one of the times that we did run pretty well on the outside zone and had some camera issues with zooming. But that was a 2-yard touchdown run by Harriet Efe. We didn't get the other touchdown on our film, and the Pottsgrove version was water drops all over it. So it was a tough night all around. Just a miserable night, in terms of the cold.
Everything. Nothing was. No positives came about from Friday night.
Not very many. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Pottsgrove, but it was, a little bit of humble pie. You go home and you run it over and over again in your head, and thought of some things and had a good discussion with the offensive staff and the staff in general in terms of, all right, here's some things that didn't go right. We're going to avoid this going forward. And we're not going to leave anything on the table going forward, I can tell you that.
All right, Coach. Good stuff right there. We'll do some defense and we'll talk a little district football, all right?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, make sure you stay tuned to commercial break and we'll preview the District 1 playoffs and the defensive highlights from Springford Pottsgrove.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Hey! There are amazing things to discover in the forest.
Toothless, time to go! What you picking up on, bud?
It's a whole hidden world of wonders. And the perfect place to spend time with family. What better place to let your imagination soar? Experience nature and create a memory you can share. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest or park near you.
Welcome back to the Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brennan, with head coach Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, before we do defense here, let's talk a little districts. We're not going to talk about your opponent Downingtown East yet, but just talk about the bracket a little bit in general. I think we got the graphic here. We're going to put, there's a graphic for you guys. Garnet Valley undefeated. They're the 1 seed. North Penn's also undefeated. They're the 2 seed. But I think they also got an undefeated team at 5 there at Quakertown. They're undefeated too. But this is, once again, get yourself a chance in the dance, and you got a chance to find a way to get a W for you too.
Yeah, and I think that every team, even the undefeated teams, have been challenged. In some of their games, like except maybe for Garnet Valley. I think they may have had 1 or 2 that were relatively close, but they
went through the Central League pretty easy.
They did, and so I think in general terms, like we always say, the teams that want to still be here, have a shot, and I think that it's a pretty wide open field. Although North Penn and Garnet Valley are undefeated. North Penn played some relatively close games the last 2 weeks with CB East and CB West, and Garnet Valley played in the Central League, and they play within their league, so they're not. I mean, they did play Downingtown West outside of the league and beat them pretty handily, but they're kind of a little bit of an unknown. I think they're very good. I'm sure they're very good. Haven't seen them on film, but they kind of play inside the league, and so it's hard to.
Yeah, they
to
played a
tell.
lot. They're playing a lot of league in that Central. They got to
They
play
play
like
9 games.
9
yeah.
leagues. Yeah, so
yeah.
there are opportunities for non-leagues. One good sign: 3 teams from the pack made the playoffs. PV 6 home. You guys 13. O&J 14. And I was commenting. I think maybe that team getting hot at the right time might be those Coatesville Red Raiders getting hot. You know, like they're always that kind of wild card.
Yeah.
If they get going, the right type of attitude. And you saw that happen last week when they played Downingtown East, and they kind of handed it to Downingtown East in that last week of the season. That's obviously one of those matchups you just, you know.
Well, Coatesville's a little bit different this year. They are more of a running team than they are or have been. Even, you know, they run their quarterback more than anybody. So that night is kind of made for them a little bit. They ran a lot of 3 tight end sets, having watched the game. And, you know, again, I think it all comes down to team's attitude going in, how things go early can tend to go a long way. You know, a lot of times people say that there's lopsided scores in playoff games, and that, in my opinion, it's not indicative of that team shouldn't have been in. It's indicative that things didn't go right and people are focused on early, and then kids start focusing on, oh my God, this might be my last game. Obviously, the seniors, and you know, kind of get out of focus. So, but you know, Downingtown East is a very good football team. They're 8-2. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but I think everybody is beatable on a particular night, and you know, we're going to do our best.
Yeah, I think you know, we were talking a little bit before, like, it's crazy. It's a football conversation, but like, boy, the first quarter could tell a real big part of the story for Friday night for both teams, because coming off of what happened last week for both teams, you know, who's ready to play football, who wants to keep playing football,
Right.
And like you said, those first 12 minutes of the football game are really going to tell you a lot for you guys on Friday night. I'm sure the same thing for Downingtown.
Yeah, definitely not the whole story, but certainly things change, momentum changes and that type of thing. But yeah, the first quarter is important.
And no pressure, but I think Downingtown East has had our number in the fall in a lot of sports. So just
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think well, I know we lost to them in girls golf. I think somebody lost to them in playoffs, maybe volleyball. I don't know, but like they've had our number in sports. So just letting you know that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's
I
get
don't
back.
know. I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
You know, just be ready for the Downingtown East has had our number.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
well, we'll be.
Let's try not to let them have our number again.
I got you.
Got what I'm saying. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to the pot score here. Besides the last 2 possessions, I think your defense holds them less than, 75, 80, 100, somewhere less obviously sub 100 yards out there. They got some turnovers, that sort of thing. Once again, you see the stats after the game, you'd be like, yeah, I feel good about our chances, that sort of thing. But they made some big plays down the stretch for themselves too.
Yeah, you know, they did, and you know, we lost 2 games on our schedule on last or next to last plays, or final 30 seconds.
Whatever, yeah.
And those, you know, those things are tough to swallow. You know, 8-2 looks a lot better than 6-4. But you know, I want to say I hope that things happen for a reason, and you know, we learn from it. Defensively, we played a really good game, and then you know, they got a score. We had a 3-and-out, didn't get a great punt off. Special teams were really difficult on Friday in the rain. We had a blocked punt, which we haven't had this year. We didn't punt great, and you know, so in the final series, you know, the problem was, you know, they can always sneak a run in, and so we were kind of, you know, caught between playing like a nickel defense and bringing extra D back in, and worried about running, or spying the quarterback is another issue, because he had a couple runs in that final drive, got out of bounds.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. In that last drive, I'm watching the game footage. Like, you had him for a sack one time. He gets out of a sack. It almost looks like he's almost like you're in a man, and he's able to run. He's got a big scram.
Yeah.
So, like, he made a couple big plays with the feet. And then, obviously, the last play, he's saying, I'm going to throw it up to my guy and go see if my guy makes a play on the ball.
Yeah, he made a couple nice throws in that last drive. And I'm not sure what happened on the touchdown play, but our defensive back seemed to be a little confused on it. And You know, things happen.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
You know, I say this all the time. You have 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, and stuff happens.
Yeah.
You know, so stuff happens on Sundays.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we certainly, you know, our defensive staff does a great job in prepping for kids. But if it comes down to one play, which it doesn't, but in that situation, it comes down to one play, and you never know what's going to happen.
All right, Coach, let's check out the defensive highlights from Springford Pottsgrove.
Defensive highlights are sponsored by What's Hot, Cards and Collectibles.
So, you know, right
Fumble on the
there, this
ground.
is the one where we pick it up, and somehow, I'm not sure how we trip, but we trip.
Guys too close to one another. Remember we talked about that. Getting too
Yeah.
close. Watch how close they are.
I don't know where it
I don't think the
happened
quarterback touched them.
Yeah. And you need to run to the sideline, too, like get away from it, but whatever. It's, you know.
Got a turnover. Here they are.
Yeah.
Nothing going up the middle for them.
Yeah, nice play there. You know, that's a, you know, little defensive front wrinkle that we have. And,
Trying to win over the center, essentially, is what
yeah.
you're trying to do there. Yep.
Yep. This was a really impressive play. Donnie Nicolene is back.
Oof.
He basically tackles the whole backfield there. It's nice to have him back. You know, we haven't had him all season.
You might want to block him.
And, yeah, he does a nice job. The it's hard to see through these little diamonds on the screen, but
Nothing going there, obviously, but
yeah, again,
tracks him down from the edge, maybe. I'm guessing here.
yeah, well,
No idea. No, I can't
it
tell you
was
what
from
happened.
the
to that play, guys. No
backside.
idea.
It's from the backside. That was Will Fish, and then
This is your Cole Turner interception, right? I think. Yeah.
Yep. And Cole Turner, that's his 6th interception of the year, and
And this is where you had like that. That's like there's opportunities. You get a turnover. Let's go score. Let's
Right.
get some first downs, whatever the case may be.
right.
We talked about in the first
And
segment.
just ice the game.
Right.
And we just, no pun intended, we didn't ice the game.
Okay.
So
All right, Coach. Well, regular season's over, and that's our first loss in the crossover. Is it
yeah.
first loss in the crossover?
Yep.
All right. It's over though. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Now we can. All right.
Yeah, we're moving on.
Yep.
Moving on. All right. Stay tuned through the commercial break, and we'll preview the District 1 matchup between the Downey County Cougars and your Springford Rams.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
Only you can prevent wildfires.
but I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when there are parched or windy conditions out there, you gotta be extra careful with things like burning yard waste. After all, wildfires can start anywhere, even in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Hey, Dad, I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Welcome back to the Gridiron. I'm your host, John Brown, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, we're in the field of 16 here. We're going to turn a little positive here on the show here. We're going to
Let's do that.
let's
Can we?
turn positive Polly. Let's get from being grumpy Gators out here. Let's become positive Polly for the rest of the way here. And I think that needs to be, a message that needs to be conveyed all week long with your crew. Is listen, it's an opportunity. What do you want to do with this opportunity, guys? I'm sure, however you want to phrase the message within your team, but I'm sure that has to be part of what's going on, because a lot of teams right now, they're done. They're getting ready for winter sports or whatever the case may be. Their seasons are done.
Yeah, I mean, we started that on Sunday night and, moved forward. And that's what we got to focus on. So we got to focus on, correcting the things that we didn't do well. We got to focus on our game plan. We just have to move on and get ready. It's the thing about football is, there's another opponent coming. So you have to get ready, put everything in the rearview mirror and go.
Something I would forget the phrase, but like what your favorite animal should be. A goldfish, right? Goldfish memory is only 10 seconds long. Let's be goldfish this week. Let's just move on, move to the next thing, right? You like
Maybe
that?
longer than 10 seconds because
you got to remember
the play clock is 40.
Okay, but something along those lines with a short-term memory.
Yeah.
And I'll also give you this breaking news also. Weather for Friday looks perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Like maybe night in the
chilly.
40s, a little chilly, but who cares about that?
Yeah,
It's not going to be rainy. It's not going to be windy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nice.
It's going to be beautiful.
November football night.
Yeah.
All right, so let's.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Good weather.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk Downingtown East a little bit. What did you say? They're coming into the year 8-2. They lost, I want to say, a game early to Ruston, who's the 1 seed in the 5A.
Who we scrimmaged.
And they lost last week to Coatesville and the bad weather week. So they come in 8-2 there, and you would say a battle-tested team.
Yeah, they've also won a couple close games. I think they beat Penridge 14-7. There was another one in there. Oh, the Downingtown West game was very close.
Yeah, it was like 40. It was a high-scoring affair.
High-scoring
game,
but very close. Yeah. So, and that's really the difference if you look at it. We had 2 close games that we lost in the last. We had 4 close games. 2 that we lost in the final 30 seconds. They won those games. Definitely, battle tested, and hopefully we can flip that on them.
And we've played Downingtown East in the playoffs before. It's an opponent we've played a couple times, and if I remember correctly, they're a team they're gonna try and run it, but they're also balanced. They're gonna hit you with some play action, that sort of thing. Like they'll be big up front, but if they need to throw the ball, they're gonna be able to throw the ball against you too.
Yeah, they're more balanced a little bit. They're a little bit more balanced this year than they have been in the past. And they'll try to do maybe not the whole time, but they try to do like a fast-paced power offense. They came here in 2018. The score was 39-14 or 21. I don't recall correctly, but we made a lot of mistakes in that game as well. We ended the half on the 1-yard line going in. We had they went for it on their own 9-yard line on 4th and 1. We stopped them and didn't score, fumbled, threw a pick 6. So there were a lot of things in that game that obviously, led to the score that the final score. But we just have to play better in the first round of playoffs, and we've struggled to do that, especially over the last few years. We've struggled to put 4 quarters together. Obviously, last year we played a pretty good second half, losing to the district champion 27-24. And there are other years as well. And again, you know as well as I do that playoffs are about matchups. We don't see a team like Downingtown East during our schedule, although we try to schedule a good non-league season or non-league schedule. That we don't see. There aren't very many teams that just line up and try to run the ball down your throat like Downingtown East does. And so, that's something that we have to try to get our kids ready for. They did a pretty good job. When in 2018, like the fallacy of that game was we didn't give up a run over 8 yards that entire game. They're going fast-paced, and our kids stuck with it, and we played with them.
Yeah,
they didn't beat us just offensively.
Right,
we beat ourselves in a lot of ways.
And I guess what I guess I'm going to lead to here before we start doing the highlights of them is that we can't fall into the trap if they're going to run it, and choose some time off the clock. And then when you do get the ball back, the 3 and out is essentially going to be killers for you guys because then your defense is back out there. It could be a little bit tired. It really needs
that's the game that they try to play.
Right, that's what and really it's how you guys going to counteract that sort of thing, what you're going to do. We're not giving it, but that's the worry if I'm an outside person who's like, oh my God, they've had some bugaboos.